they announced that we want to send out greeting cards on Independence Day. I want to send a greeting card on New Year Day, greeting card on this, and they had some 30,000 proposals were sent, and they chose 3 or 4. So this is like what we call crowdsourcing. Now, MyGovernment.in as an organization who was seeking this has not taken a service from a formal organization. All they have done is announce to the freelancers which are available in the world that I need these things to be done. In this case, these things have been done to them free of cost. Okay, it may be charged. If you select my proposal, then you pay. I don't know whether they paid. So this is how things are changing. So how do you look at the shared service in this context? When I don't want to recruit or hire a full-time employee, anything and everything is outsourced. So how does an organization function? And don't forget the famous cartoon that came in the US way back in 2002, 2003 that shook up the US social domain and against India. And the cartoon was that there's a guy who goes into a friend's office and he sees that friend's office is closed. It is up for sale and all that. So he calls his friend that, well, you have gone bankrupt, you closed your office. He says, no, I'm sitting in Florida Beach, right? And then his, the art shows that he's in a Bermuda shorts and those big flower shirts and goggles with headset and a laptop. And he says that my production has been outsourced to a firm in China. My R&D has been outsourced to some firm in Bangalore. And all that, he says everything is 100% activities have been outsourced. And most of the outsourcing was in Bangalore, Gurgaon, as it was written there. And so my cost has gone down, so I'm very happy, everything is fine. So my company exists only in the boardroom, where we take strategic decisions and everything else is, outsourced. And it's a great life, friend, so I'm enjoying it, and my profits have gone up. So, well, then let's have dinner together and then, we'll discuss. He says, okay, let's meet up for dinner. He says, but, are you available on this phone? No. He says, the other guy says, you have to fix up with my secretary. He says, to call my secretary, you have to call this number, and she is sitting in Bangalore. So she'll fix up an appointment for a dinner in New York, and then we'll sit and discuss. So this created a lot of furor in the US that all jobs are going to, the Indian market. So outsourcing is fine, but the companies who are taking jobs in outsourcing, a specialized job like HR data analytics, HR data and one outsourcing job. Would they want to have full-time employee? Question mark. So therefore, just 1 minute now. So I looked at this and said that the two things as a summary where this is bringing about this change is the technology which is impacting. The social habits of people are also changing, because if I have money in my pocket, I would want to be serviced. So this is how it is triggering the world today, and then therefore all these changes that is happening. So therefore, when you do have a shared service organization HR domain particularly, then I was looking at something, and then I found it very interesting that to be called not a centralized organization, to be called a shared service organization within your HR domain or organization, there are 3 things which must be looked into, must be available there. One is there should be a centralized accountability. Now, centralized accountability not necessarily means physical centralization. Technology is there. The job is being done, so it must be very well defined. Somebody is held responsible if it is not being done properly. And there is one centralized unit who is accountable for this particular activity or task which is being done. If it is there, then you do qualify for a SS unit. The other is the delivery should be across multiple HR functions. HR, there are many functions in HR. So this SS shared service should be able to give at least more than one services to be delivered, such that other services in HR become more specialized in nature and they can be classified as experts. And the third one is that this shared service organization should really be functioning like a organization. So are you able to look at this as a independent unit, which means it must be, you must be able to quantify the work.
I
you
must
must
say
be able
that
to.
if we can just leave it, because then we'll be able to do the time if you can cover your last
Okay,
point. Yeah.
done. And the SSI should be able to function like a independent organization, which means if you put in 1 crore or 1 lakh into this, would you have a path to figure out that you would be able to recover 2 lakh out of this? If you are able to do this, then this becomes a shared service organization. And I'm sure in future sessions, later sessions, much more examples would be shared to broaden your understanding of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Das. Teachers are allowed to share what they can and what they could. So very interesting. Thank you very much, dear panelists. And you know, I was thinking we may have time for a couple of questions, but it doesn't look like that we'll have time for questions. But interestingly, the most important thing is, you know, this is the first time probably, you know, as I was sharing with you, that Everest globally decided to do an Asia-Pac report. And we have amidst us Rajesh Ranjan, who's the partner and the global head for their business services vertical, especially flown in for this event here. So thank you very much, Rajesh. I request you to please join us here and share with us comfortably in a few things, what this report is all about. And maybe if I can ask a question which is in our heads, that why Asia Pacific? Why you want to give that importance? So we would love to hear your views. You can take 5 to 10 minutes as you feel comfortable.
Sure.
Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Pankaj. You know, first of all, let me congratulate you and then the NHRD team to you know, organize another one. I was involved in the first one, and I see this is going places, kind of both in terms of scale and the quality of the discussion. So, you know, great job there. Now, as you asked, within Everest Group, we you know, track, analyze, advise our clients on HR services, technology, outsourcing, a lot of those elements globally. Now, as we do this on an ongoing basis, you know, we were struck by something which kind of propelled us to kind of look at this specific area of HR outsourcing, Asia Pacific in general, and quite frankly, India in particular. And there are 5 things, you know, which to us looked quite different than what we have seen globally when it comes to HR outsourcing. And I'll give you a sneak peek into that. As Pankaj said, you know, there's going to be a report that is going to come out, and hopefully we'll be able to share with all the participants here. So the first one was really around the growth and the potential of the market. You know, I think, you know, Rajiv was kind of talking about kind of slow growth that has happened in terms of HR shared services, but specifically talking about HR outsourcing. What we saw is, while the global HR outsourcing market is around $30 billion, roughly 10% is Asia Pacific. When we look at the growth numbers, you know, the growth numbers in Asia Pacific is double of what we are seeing globally. More importantly, if you peel the onion and look at the emerging markets within you know, APAC, that number goes up by 4 times, 5 times, right? So clearly there's a significant growth that is taking place in terms of how organizations are using HR outsourcing as a way to you know, manage and deliver better HR services and quite frankly respond to business needs. The second aspect that we saw was the driver behind this adoption is quite different. So while in the West you will see HR outsourcing as a primary tool to reduce cost, in Asia Pacific and more importantly again in the emerging market, we saw that as a tool to create a more agile and scalable HR delivery model which can respond to the business demands quickly and at the same time improve, engage employee experience. So that was the second you know, difference that we saw. The third was essentially kind of linked to the second one, is how you measure the outcome of some of the HR outsourcing or HR shared services initiative that you put in place. So of course in the Western model, since it was kind of based on cost reduction, so there are a lot of SLAs and KPIs which are based on efficiency metrics. But you know, in the emerging markets, what we are seeing is, you know, clearly it is also, you know, again, some of those things are being tracked, but you know, a lot of emphasis is being given on what we call the business outcomes. What are those business outcomes? You know, some of those business outcomes that we are seeing is, you know, ability of HR organizations to help you know, the company enter the new market or a business quickly, right? How can you help that? Now, is some of these initiatives helping it, right? Is it helping kind of integrate some of the M&As in a much more quicker and better fashion, right? Is it improving, again, as I said earlier, some kind of employee experience, employee productivity? So that's the third, so the measure of outcome is different from what we have seen. The fourth one is, again, the solution that is required to make it happen. Again, if I compare to the global phenomena, a lot of times it was based on labor arbitrage, and we all know that, right? And there are a lot of big companies who have used India as a good delivery location to provide that labor arbitrage advantage. If you're trying to provide those services in India, of course, labor arbitrage is absent. So the solution has to be different. And there are 2 or 3 key things of that solution aspect. The first one is, is ability to kind of really transform the process. It's not like as is, your mess for less kind of solution. It's kind of first upfront you need to transform the process and standardize the process and integrate the process. The second aspect, a lot of our panel member talked about is the role of technology. Now, we live in the digital age. The advantage that India, or for that matter, other emerging markets have, is you don't have a legacy and burden of a lot of technology investment that you have done in the past, which is a great advantage. Now you can really leverage a lot of the advancements that have coming along, the various aspects that my esteemed colleagues kind of talked about. But when thinking about HR outsourcing, thinking about those outcomes, you need to kind of think about both process and technology from our perspective, and what we are seeing some of the progressive organizations doing in close conjunction to each other. And as you kind of construct some of these HR outsourcing engagement, some of the commercial construct also need to be different, and we are seeing some of those things to be different. The pricing model shouldn't be based on how many people that you are deploying for me, and hence, this is the FT rate and all that. It has to be different. And we are seeing some of those, innovations, in a way kind of leapfrogging what we have seen in the West, what is happening emerging market. The last aspect is, interestingly, what we see is different. Interestingly or not interestingly, is also the kind of service providers that are present in these markets. Of course, the biggies who play in the global market, they are also trying to get into this market. Of course, they see the growth, they see the potential, they see an opportunity to provide those services. But interestingly, so far, what we are seeing is more of local providers. They are winning the game so far. So, likes of People Strong, and I'm sure Pankaj is feeling good about that. And the reason I see is because the local providers, some of those evolved local providers, I would call it, they're able to localize the solution and kind of create that solution, which is the demand of the market in terms of the outcome that they are looking for. So again, these are the 4 or 5 things that I wanted to share. Just one more thing I will say, which is not related to HR outsourcing, but one of the things, I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and interestingly, the thing he was talking about is, I need to move from human resources services to employee services, right? And that requires a kind of fundamental shift in terms of, instead of looking at in silos of compensation, talent and payroll and all those things. It's about how can I look at the moment of truth that an employee faces in terms of transfer. That could be in terms of professional thing, or in the personal thing, or a manager, and how can HR enable that, not only working in isolation, but to, again, going back to Rajesh's point, creating that integrated service delivery model with other functions to make it happen. Okay, so with that, yeah.
Your big hand. So I must say that, globally people pay thousands of dollars to get a copy of the report, and Rajesh and team have agreed as Team Everest as their gesture, because it's the first report, that it will be sent as a complimentary copy to all of you, with the promise that it will not be circulated any further. So you will all get a copy. So whenever it will be released, we will use the good offices of Kamal Singh to distribute it to a copy to each one of you. I have always subscribed a copy in individual and my organizational capacity for last few years. This year, hopefully, we'll also get free with all of you. So thank you very much, Rajesh, for flying in here and being with us. And thank you very much, friends. I hope you found the time, valuable and session interesting. I'm going to hand over the mic for the last part, which is the word of thanks to our Director General Kamal Singh, who's conceptualized this program. So over to you, Kamal.
Thank you, Pankaj. Our National Secretary, Mr. Svinathan, Director, Talent, India, US. Summit Director, Mr. Pankaj Bansal, Co-founder and CEO, People Strong HR Services. Our knowledge partner, Mr. Rajiv Krishnan, Advisory Partner and Leader, People Organization, EY. Our B School partner, Dr. J.K. Das, Director, Ford School of Management. I see a lot of our well-wishers, speakers. Mr. Rajesh Ranjan is here. Mr. D. Haris, all the way from Bangalore. Dr. B. Kumar from Visakhapatnam. Dr. T. N. Kapoor from Delhi. Mr. Ramesh Ranjan, Mr. Rajeshwar Tripathi, and many others. Members of media, especially the ET now who is going to cover this function, participants, invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As you know, National HRD Network, apart from several initiatives, one of the basic initiatives that it undertakes on its basket is the capability building. And also it has very specific mandate to bring new practices, new ideas and new concepts. The very purpose we designed this program in the last few years was to bring to you, this is the new concept that is catching up in India. Globally it has already caught up, and it is being viewed as one of the key differentiator or game changer as we move on to compete globally. With that thought, we had brought this entire Design and Summit, the way it has been put together. You see the best of the best speaker, the best of the best practitioner who have done it and who have really made it as differentiator in their own companies. I can say with pride to Mr. Rajesh Tripathi, and you will see as you move on, this concept will further grow as we progress. And in a summit like this, I am not going to say the concluding remarks or summary of what has already been said, because in the interest of time, I will simply say that the inaugural session that we had this morning, the three brilliant addresses given by all these distinguished speakers on the dais have really given us impetus to really debate in the subsequent session today and tomorrow. And I only want to simply at this session would like to acknowledge our deepest appreciation for some of the people who have contributed to make this summit truly happen today and tomorrow. First of all, we are